I, Mike 40, think that last night my wife, Rachel 43, cheated on me. We have been married 10 years, together for 13. She went out to buy some stuff for the home, which is weird since she hates doing that. And she went with a male friend I don't know. She stayed out for several hours. It was weird because she spent the day getting ready like it was a date. And when she was gone, I grew suspicious and checked around the room and found she had put on her sexy underwear meant just for our bedroom. I do all the childcare, so I put the kids to bed. She showed up afterward and refused to tell me most of the details of the man she was with, and told me that in order to stay in our marriage, she needed some time that was just for her. She only told me his first name, and when I thought back, I'd seen that name pop up in her texts for the last several months. I didn't think anything of it at the time, because it's the name of a work friend she has, and they often need to reach out to one another after hours for big projects. I think that she has been slowly building up the courage to cheat on me. And over the last 2 months, our sex life has collapsed to zero, and she has grown extremely hostile without any reason given, seemingly out of nowhere. Last week, she told me she doesn't want to be married, and it has nothing to do with me. An outrageous assertion. Before everyone says I don't do enough as a husband, I do 100% of the childcare, shopping, housework, and I work from home, though she is the primary breadwinner. I am emotionally available and mature, and I don't have a temper. I stay relatively fit, and am attractive enough. I am not controlling. I don't object at all to her having male friends, but this screams affair. I'm utterly shattered and feel like I am dying. I don't even know how to talk to her about it. She has been so angry lately that communicating with her is a nightmare. This is a throwaway account. I'm too ashamed to post it on my main. I want to divorce her, but that would break apart my children's home. If I file for divorce, would that make me the asshole? Update. Rachel and I talked. She admitted that she had been talking to this guy for a while and had intended to have a sexual encounter, but found him to be so lacking she decided not to. Apparently he had emotions and wanted a relationship, so she talked with him, bought some of his art, and left. She is still going to hang out with him, but she isn't interested in him anymore, apparently. I asked if she wanted an open relationship. She said yes. I asked if we would ever have sex again. She said probably not. She said she just doesn't want to be in a relationship with anyone or have sex with anyone anymore. But if she does decide to, she doesn't want to feel caged, especially after her most recent disappointment. But she wants to keep our family together. So I have a permanent hall pass, and I don't ever have to explain where I was or who I was with. She said that is only fair, and I agreed, and she wants the same. I can't force her to stay married or monogamous, and I don't want a divorce. So we are roommates now with a legally binding lifetime contract and joint finances. And apparently, I'm now in an open relationship. A very sad day for me. But maybe not the worst outcome. I assume a lot of people will say she was lying, but it sounded honest. And for the first time in months, she wasn't mad at me. She was being direct, and whether she cheated or not wouldn't change anything because she had intended to and had emotionally cheated, so that trust is gone either way. So I was right, sort of. And now my marriage is over, sort of. And that's just how life goes, I guess. I will need some time to process this. Feel free to comment if you like. It has been a rough 3 days. Update number 2. So I have decided to treat this post kind of like a journal. You guys have been so helpful and kind, mostly, and it has helped me keep a level head during this process. Thank you all for that. Rachel came to me crying, saying she doesn't know why she tried to destroy our life together. She says she loves me so much, and I am the perfect husband, and she has the perfect life, and she just couldn't handle it and tried to destroy it. She has agreed to counseling. She apparently doesn't want to lose me. She says she doesn't want anyone else, and she wants to do what she needs to for me to forgive her. She says we can keep the marriage open if I want. I said okay. She asked if I needed to see other people, and I said I don't know. She said she understood and started crying again. Later she tried to initiate sex, and I stopped her. She had on her sexy undies. Seeing them again made me feel sick. She wore them for another man not even a week ago, trying to destroy our marriage. I feel like all my walls are 100% up right now. My kids noticed her behavior towards me changed this morning when I was getting them ready for school. She was very affectionate and saying nice things to me. My kids were so happy on the way to school. My daughter said, "I am so glad that Mom is being herself again. Isn't that great?" I said, "Yeah, you guys, I'm so tired." Update 3. Rachel went out again on Friday. This time, she seemed really pensive, not excited at all. She stayed out a little longer but came home at a reasonable hour. If I didn't know what she had been up to previously, I would not have been suspicious. I assumed she broke up with her boyfriend. Saturday morning, she canceled all her future dates of all kinds. Everything social was off her calendar, and she replaced them with family activities with me and the kids. She still wouldn't tell me who this man was, or discuss him at all. I decided to leave it alone for a while to gather my thoughts. We went on a family trip yesterday. It was fun, and today we're all going to do family games and hang out. Rachel's behavior has changed very dramatically. She's playing the caring wife, saying nice things to me, sending me positive messages when I'm in a different room, touching my arm. All the things. A fairly dramatic shift from the extreme hostility she has been showing me for months. But I have been badly burned, so I couldn't trust it. I decided that I was calm enough to figure out who this guy was, so I went looking, and with the help of a dear friend, we figured it out. See, she had purchased something from him, and that was enough information to figure out who he was, how they met, and how this all began. Now I am going to be vague, as this would maybe be identifying, and I don't need that in my life, especially if I plan on divorcing. But he followed her on a social media service, and she didn't follow him back. He never once posted publicly on her social media, and she never liked or commented on any of his stuff. Rachel's social media contains pictures of me and our children, almost exclusively of our children, a couple of pictures of me, and only a handful of pictures of Rachel. For complicated reasons, her social media has a larger following than most personal social media accounts, which made finding him a real pain in the ass. This piece of crap saw my kids and me and my wife and thought, I bet those kids would love 2 Christmases. That's the guy my wife cheated on me with. He is older than me, by more than a decade, but very fit and very tall, like a damn meme. The worst part? She had not blocked him, so it isn't over. It is just on the back burner. I have decided not to mention it. I don't want her to hide it better. I want to know what's going on as I collect evidence for filing for divorce. I don't need evidence, but for my own peace of mind, and so that I can grieve, I will finish constructing the puzzle that is my wife's infidelity. I will also focus on self-care and stay away from vices. I could definitely see myself getting drunk and high every night in response to this, so I should not do that. I can't file just yet for complicated financial reasons, but I will be keeping my appointment with the divorce lawyer to explore my options. Until then, we will see. I have zero trust in Rachel. I never thought I would find myself in this position. I don't know what I will do afterward. I haven't dated in almost 15 years. How does it even work now? Thank you for all the members of the community who have reached out to me, even the mean ones. All of you have taken the time to engage with me when I could not be anything but self-centered in my own grief. And I appreciate you. I will continue updating as I go. Update 4. I decided to take a few days and headed to my parents' house. Rachel watched the children while I went over and spoke with my folks. After hearing about the situation, my sister joined us. My parents are hugely supportive of whatever I choose, though my mom thinks I should get a divorce and has several good divorce lawyers already picked out. She really could not hide her excitement that I might be divorcing Rachel. And my father thinks we should work it out and offered to pay for any and all mental health services we need for me, Rachel, and the kids. My parents have been married for a very long time, and I always wanted a long, stable marriage like they had. My mother commented that I always did like complicated relationships with difficult women, and that Rachel has been torturing you for months. Everyone has been so worried about you, which feels about right. They needed a ton of landscaping done, so my sister and I spent the whole time doing landscaping and talking. The weather was finally nice, and I had 2 days of clearing my head and being around people that love me and getting exercise. By the time I got home, I had completely forgotten my horrible situation. Rachel even greeted me when I got home and seemed very excited to see me. I was happy to believe for a moment that this was my life. Gleeful kids and a happy wife greeting me at the door. It felt really good. I smelled terrible and was covered in dirt. I did not shower while I was over there. They only have 1 bar of Dove soap that they share, which was how it was when I was a kid. And honestly, I would just rather stay dirty. So I went to get changed in my room. The guest bedroom, where I now live, instead of in a room with my wife, and let me tell you, it all came flooding back. Just a deep ache and a sadness that the person upstairs was completely different a week and a half ago, and could just as easily flip right back. We are currently in a holding pattern where Rachel just looks at me, wondering what I will do, and tries to be on her best behavior, which she is already looking exhausted by. And I try to stabilize my emotional state well enough to make it through each day without incident. Either way, I have been getting a lot of attention online and in real life from potential suitors. There are a surprising number of women of all age groups who seem to really enjoy what I am about and how I look. I really did not know that there was this much interest. I am going to start scheduling dates in the next few weeks. I don't know if it is a good idea or not. I don't know if there's anything out there worth finding, but I do know that sitting around my house being sad all the time is no kind of life. Oh, and my mom offered to watch my children while I went out on dates. Though she doesn't approve of it, if it brings me closer to getting rid of Rachel, she will help me do it. That woman is such a trip. Again, thank you everyone for your support and encouragement. My updates will likely be less frequent going forward unless something exciting happens. Real life is rarely this complicated and interesting in real time. Thank goodness for that. As I was trying to figure out my next steps, Rachel continued to act all sweet and attentive. It was like she was trying to prove she could be the perfect wife again. But I knew better. I knew she could flip back to her old self at any moment. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, I decided to take my mom up on her offer to watch the kids so I could go out. I needed a break, a chance to clear my head and maybe get a glimpse of what life could be like without all this drama. I went to a local bar, a place I used to frequent before I got married. It was comforting in a way, familiar faces and a relaxed atmosphere. I ended up talking to a woman named Jenna. She was funny, smart, and genuinely seemed interested in what I had to say. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen and appreciated. We exchanged numbers, and I left the bar feeling a little lighter. I wasn't sure what would come of it, but it felt good to have a connection with someone who wasn't tied up in all the mess at home. Back at the house, Rachel was waiting for me. She was visibly irritated, but she tried to mask it with a forced smile. "Did you have fun?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm.
"Yeah, I did," I replied, not giving her the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. It was nice to get out for a bit. Her eyes narrowed. "Well, don't get too used to it. We still have a lot to work through." The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Rachel continued her act, but I saw through it. I kept meeting up with Jenna, and it became clear that what I felt for her was more than just a rebound. She made me realize that I deserved better, that I didn't have to settle for a life filled with deceit and manipulation. One evening, after the kids were in bed, Rachel cornered me in the kitchen. "I know you've been seeing someone," she said, her tone accusatory. "Yes, I have," I admitted. "And it's made me realize that I can't keep living like this. We need to separate, Rachel, for good." She laughed bitterly. "You think you can just walk away? What about the kids? What about everything we've built? What have we built, Rachel? A life of lies and betrayal? The kids deserve better, and so do I." For once, she had no retort. She just stared at me, a mixture of shock and anger on her face. I moved out a week later. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. My parents helped me get settled, and Jenna was a constant source of support. The kids were confused and upset, but I made sure to spend as much time with them as possible, reassuring them that I was still there for them, no matter what.
Rachel tried to make things difficult, of course. She dragged out the divorce proceedings, made unreasonable demands, and tried to turn the kids against me. But I stood my ground. I had a great lawyer, thanks to my mom's preparation, and I documented everything Rachel did to make sure the court saw the full picture. In the end, I got joint custody of the kids and a fair division of assets. Rachel was furious, but there was nothing she could do. I had won, not just in court, but in reclaiming my life. Jenna and I continued to see each other, and our relationship grew stronger every day. She was patient and understanding, and she never pressured me to move faster than I was comfortable with. For the first time in years, I felt hopeful about the future. Looking back, I realized that Rachel's betrayal, as painful as it was, had been a blessing in disguise. It forced me to reevaluate my life and make changes that I never would have had the courage to make otherwise. I learned to value myself and to recognize my worth. And most importantly, I learned that it was never too late to start over and build a better life. But let me fill in some of the details to give you a clearer picture of what those weeks and months were like. After that evening with Jenna, I started going out more. Not just to see her, but to reconnect with old friends and try to rediscover parts of myself that I'd let go during my marriage. I joined a local running group, something I used to enjoy before life got too busy. It was refreshing to be outside, feeling the wind on my face, and pushing my body to its limits. It reminded me that I was still capable of achieving things on my own. Rachel's behavior during this time was a roller coaster. One day she'd be sweet and apologetic. The next she'd be cold and distant. It was exhausting trying to keep up with her mood swings. I tried to keep things civil for the sake of the kids, but it was clear that we were just going through the motions. One night, I overheard her on the phone with a friend, complaining about how I was abandoning her and the kids. It took everything in me not to confront her right then and there. Instead, I took a deep breath and reminded myself that this was temporary. Soon, I'd be free of this toxic environment. The divorce proceedings were as messy as I expected. Rachel made ridiculous demands, trying to get as much money out of me as possible. She even tried to argue that she should get full custody of the kids because I was unstable. Thankfully, my lawyer was prepared for all her tactics. We had documented evidence of her erratic behavior and her affair, which helped our case immensely. During this time, Jenna was my rock. She'd listen to me vent about the latest drama with Rachel, offering words of encouragement and support. We'd go out for dinner, take long walks in the park, and just enjoy each other's company. It was a stark contrast to the chaos I was dealing with at home. With Jenna, I felt at peace. The kids had a tough time adjusting to the new normal. They were used to having both parents under one roof, and now they had to split their time between two homes. I made sure to keep things as stable as possible for them. We kept up with our usual routines, and I tried to make my new place feel as much like home as possible. One evening, my daughter Emily came to me with tears in her eyes. "Dad, why can't we all just live together again?" she asked, her voice trembling. It broke my heart to see her like that. I pulled her into a hug and said, "Sweetie, sometimes adults have problems that they can't fix. But just because Mom and I aren't together anymore, doesn't mean we love you any less. We'll always be here for you no matter what." Over time, the kids started to understand. They saw how much happier I was, and they began to enjoy the time they spent with me in my new home. We'd have movie nights, go on weekend trips, and just enjoy being together. It wasn't the same as before, but it was good. Rachel continued to try and make things difficult, but I stopped letting it get to me. I'd built a support system of friends, family, and Jenna, and I was focused on moving forward. I started seeing a therapist, which helped me work through the residual anger and hurt from the marriage. It was a slow process, but with each session, I felt a little lighter. As the months went by, my relationship with Jenna deepened. She met my kids, and they adored her. She never tried to replace Rachel in their lives, but became a positive, loving presence. It was clear to me that she was someone special, someone I could see a future with. One sunny afternoon, as we were all having a picnic in the park, I looked around at the smiles and laughter and realized how far we'd come. The dark days of dealing with Rachel's betrayal felt like a distant memory. I was building a new life, one filled with hope and love. Eventually, Rachel seemed to accept that things were over. She stopped trying to sabotage my time with the kids and began to focus on her own life. It was a relief to finally have some peace, to not constantly be looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next bit of drama. In the end, the divorce was finalized, and I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. It was the end of a chapter, but also the beginning of a new one. A chapter where I was in control of my happiness, where I could be the father my kids deserved and the partner Jenna deserved. To anyone going through something similar, know that there is hope. It might be hard, and it might take time, but you deserve to be happy. Don't settle for less than you deserve. And remember, you are stronger than you think. Thank you for reading my story and for all the support you've given me. It has meant more than I can say. Here's to new beginnings and finding happiness, no matter how long it takes. As I reflect on this journey, I realize that the pain and struggles have shaped me into a stronger, more resilient person. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it, but it's how we respond to those challenges that define us. I'm grateful for the support of my friends, family, and especially Jenna, who stood by me through it all. For anyone reading this, going through a tough time or facing betrayal, know that you're not alone. There are brighter days ahead, and sometimes the end of one chapter is just the beginning of something even better. Keep your head up, stay true to yourself, and never lose hope. Thank you again for all the support and encouragement. Here's to new beginnings and the journey ahead.